Galante ha ija leli jis ko sahiye ahan judalfnik nivna heldig do hest anuktanida ho dundata de her hest or spotly lohe jelegi skadu. Father, we just thank you this afternoon that we're able to be gathered here. Lord, I just ask you to be with each and every one for the betterment of the Turkey nation. Lord, we thank you in your name. Amen.
Amen. Jenna, can we do roll call?
Yes, sir. Once again, I'll have to do 2 roll calls. Sean Crittenden,
Here.
Wes Snowfire, Keith Austin,
Here.
Julia Coates,
Here.
Joe Deere, Rex Jordan, Darrell Legg,
Here.
Dora Petskowski,
Here.
Danny Callison,
Here, yes.
Mike Dobbins, Johnny Kidwell,
Here, yes.
Joshua Sam,
Here, yes.
Mike Shambaugh,
Here, yes.
Melvina Shotpouch,
Yes.
E.O. Smith,
Here, yes.
Condessa Teehee,
Honey.
Victoria Vasquez. We have a quorum.
I'd like to ask for the approval of minutes. All right. Let's see. Going to go to reports? Or do we need to vote on the approval of minutes?
Yes, sir.
Hey, anybody say yes? Yes. Anybody say no on that one? All right, approved. Now let's go to reports. Vocational Programs, Talking Leaves, Job Corps, Career Services, Diane Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll make this very short, sweet, and to the point. You've got my report. You've probably looked it over. We really elaborated on our adult education, career skills, and testing department. The GED graduation is going to be virtual. We're doing the pictures with their caps and gowns, and we're going to post them on our monitor that we have, like you've seen out here. We have another one, and we're going to post their pictures on that for probably about a couple of weeks over at the GED Adult Learning Center, and they'll get their diplomas. The one thing that we're really promoting right now is our child care program. We are hoping to get some students in those classes in October. If you can help us recruit people that could already be gainfully employed, that are interested in working with children, that would like to get the certification, we will pay their books tuition. We will provide them with a laptop so that they can take it virtually at home. If somebody is an employee and they're working and they want to change to a different job and they feel like that this would help them as far as upward mobility, we'll take an application on them. But we are building 2 new child care facilities in Pryor and Salisaw, and then we're renovating one in the Catoosa area. So we have a need for child care workers, and we have really got to get some people trained and certified. So anything that you can do to help us, and anybody you know, family members, cousins, relatives, neighbors, friends, send them our way, because we're trying to get enough enrolled in these classes that start in October, and they will finish in December, and then can also take classes in January. The classes are in the evening from like 6 o'clock till 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night. They can get 2 class hours in one evening. So help us out. We're trying to promote, and we've got some things up on billboards through our training program. And Verna said that she could take some of the workers in Head Start as well. So anything you can do to help us would be greatly appreciated.
All right, any questions for Diane? Dale?
Diane, has the stipends went up from $725 to $9, or are they still at $725 for those programs?
There's some of the programs that are still at $725. There's some that are higher. It depends on the grant that we wrote and got approved, and we're trying to get them all up on the same level. But you got to bear in mind some of these grants came in at different times, but we're working to get them all there.
Any other questions for Diane? Dr. Teehee?
Thank you for joining us this afternoon, Ms. Kelly. I have a question. So I noticed that the RN scholarship program is having some success and that several of those graduates have gone on to be hired by Hastings and have gone on to work in RCN health systems. However, when I look at the surgical tech program, I'm seeing a lot of those individuals being placed outside at non-CN health systems. And I was wondering if you guys there at Career Services do any sort of exit interviews to ask those students why they're choosing jobs outside of CN health systems.
It's probably because we are filled up at the time. Our RN scholarship program is to work with our clinics and our hospital. If our positions are filled at the time they graduate, they want jobs. So if we don't have a position open at that time, then we're going to help them get it in another place so that they can carry out their RN or whatever their certificate is. But on the payback, the RN program that Jan and Laura Lundberg work with, they actually have so many slots that they can fill. And we will also work with Claremore Hospital too. So if those positions are all filled at the time that they graduate, then we work with them to try to get them placed in another hospital facility, depending on what the field of work that they're going into. It's the same thing with the Surge Tech. Surge Tech does 2 graduations a year, and we're pretty full as far as the Surge Tech. But we have a lot of people wanting to take that class, and normally they can get a job somewhere if they're willing to relocate.
Okay, thank you for that. I wanted to make that inquiry based on the previous testimony from Dr. Jones during our health committee session. So thank you very much, Ms. Kelly. I appreciate you joining us today, and I appreciate all the work being done there in Career Services.
Thank you, Councilwoman Teehee.
Other questions for Diane?
I would like to comment on that. So some of the participants that participate in the RN program might be from Bartlesville. They could be, way up north by Jay, but we're paying for it. And so the circumference of when they have to go through the preceptor at Hastings, if they're too far away, they're kind of exempt from having to do that also, unless they're willing to relocate and come back down here and move to go to work at Hastings, because it's just too far of a drive. But we don't discriminate against anybody living within the 14 counties from participating and getting their tuition paid for through the RN program, but sometimes it's out of the scope, too far away for them to drive and be expected to come to Hastings for the preceptor.
We also have students who relocate and live with relatives so that they can go to school in one of the neighboring schools around here. And a lot of times they'll come back here to get their training, but they could be working in Oklahoma City when they graduate because they want to go back to where they actually started out from. And one of the things that they do when they come here is it's with the understanding that if we have a position that's open and needs to be filled, then they have to accept that position, and they're willing to do that, and they sign the paperwork that says that. But sometimes, because somebody said they were going to retire, or somebody said they weren't going to be working after this year, or whatever, we may not have a slot for them when they graduate. So most of them want to go to work, and that's one of the reasons why we're trying to work on these career ladders, so that we can start them out at a certain level, and within a year or so, they can move up to another level, so that they have something to work toward. Because once we get them trained, we don't want to have them leave the area. So if we can keep them here, we're going to try to do that. So we're working with the health department to try to capture those students, as many as we possibly can.
Anybody else gonna let her go? Thank you, Diane.
Thank you. Thank you, council members.
Coming up next, Executive Director's Report and also Sequoia High School Report, Corey Bunch.
Good afternoon, everyone. I believe you have our report, and I'd be glad to take any questions on that. But first, if you don't mind, Chairperson Crittenden, I'd like to make a couple other announcements. One, I know that some folks are new on the council, and I've brought a stack of my business cards. It has my cell phone number on it. I'm just going to leave it right up here in the front. Please feel free to call me anytime, or if you want to pass these along to school administrators, that would be great too. Also, I'd like to quickly mention last week, worked with the Chief of Staff Enlow. He called me down to the administration area. Chief Hoskin, Deputy Chief Warner, and all of administration asked us to help coordinate and deliver PPE products to our public school districts. So probably by the end of the day, I'll send some information to Gail about those deliveries. I'll send you the delivery schedules in case you'd like to be there at the schools whenever we deliver those products, and we'll give you a few days lead time so you'll have some notice. But we're going to try to get those masks and some hand sanitizer out to the schools as quickly as possible to help them with their prevention efforts. So be expecting an email from me on that, Counselor. At this time, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions concerning the Executive Director's report? Dr. Teehee?
What is the current situation with the superintendent for Sequoia Schools?
We are still in an ongoing search for a superintendent at Sequoia High School. It's been a while since we've taken a look at it because we've been tied up doing a million other things, it seems like, but we are definitely still searching for a full-time superintendent at Sequoia. And until that time, I am happily filling in on those duties and working with our administrators up there on campus. They're doing a terrific job in the meantime of keeping up with the students and everything that goes on. As you guys know, school administrators have to wear a million hats, and I can't give them enough praise on the job that they've been doing.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Bunch. I also wanted to just say, congratulations to that cross-country finish. I know, is it still Coach Horsechief that's there?
It is still Coach Sam Horsechief, yes.
Well, he does fantastic
He
work
does.
with preparing those students, conditioning them, and there is a long time history of excellence with the cross-country program, and I just wanted to commend those students for those great finishes in their most recent cross-country meet that's listed here in the report.
Well, I will thank you, Counselor, and I will definitely pass those regards on to Coach Horsechief. He'll be happy to hear them.
Deputy Speaker, did you have something?
Yes, thank you. Corey, recently there was a story about us having an agreement with Spartan School of Aeronautics. I have not had a chance to call you, but was just wondering if we have any way to give assistance to a student that is already in the school, that is a Cherokee, that's taking pilot classes.
That's a great question, and I appreciate the question. And for some of you may not know, we recently signed an agreement with Spartan College of Aeronautics in Tulsa to do some career exposure and some career exploration activities with our students at not only Sequoia High School, but possibly other public school, high school districts. They may participate in our STEM activities such as Camp Cherokee and other things. Currently, right now, we are not able to fund the college students at Spartan, but we will definitely be working with administration towards those efforts in the near future.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else for concerning Executive Director or Sequoia High School? Let's see. Ms. Coates?
Thanks. Corey, we have mask mandates in all of our schools, is that correct?
Well, not,
No?
you mean in our school, Sequoia High School?
Yes,
That's correct, yes.
Yes, okay. So, how are we doing with the health of our kids? Do you have updates about infection rates and so forth?
Sure, it's actually very, very low. We're super proud of our kids. I'm on campus daily, and the kids are doing terrific with their masks, indoors and outdoors, I might add. I even saw students at extracurricular activities wearing masks, so I'm very proud of them, of the efforts they're making. We do still continue to test twice weekly at Sequoia Schools. We've caught very, very few cases. We've actually worked with health services to create a map or a graph of our testing at Sequoia Schools, and that should be available on our school website very, very soon. But it's just in the handful of numbers of positive cases that we've had on campus.
And is that true for those involved in athletics as well, is it?
That's correct. That's for the whole student body. It's very low, very low. I would imagine it's less than 2 to 3 a week, maybe, at the very most.
That's great to hear. Thank you.
Dr. Dobbins?
Corey, what are our numbers at Sequoia football? How many are out?
Gosh, I went to the game. I think we're around 35 to 40 athletes maybe on the football team.
Did we have any that were denied eligibility by the OSSAA?
We did have one student come back. He applied for eligibility hardship. He was denied in writing, but he appealed his situation, and he and his parents and athletic director went to the state office in Oklahoma City, and he presented his case personally, and at which time the voting members there agreed to grant him eligibility. So I was very, very proud of that student for speaking up for himself. Just watched him play this past Friday night. He's a great young student on campus, but he's also a great leader on our football team.
So how do our numbers compare to 2019 when we played previously?
Yeah, we're lower than we previously were, really across the board. Right now, we're at about 328 students total. We'd like to be a little bit higher than that if possible, but some of our activities have been down.
Okay.
But rest assured that we're doing all that we can to build up and add to and make Sequoia Schools as great as it can be. And we're offering many more programs than we have in the past, and we're going to continue to offer more programs to give those students opportunities in the near future.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Corey.
Anyone else for Mr. Bunch? Corey, just to clarify the mask that you've been passing out, the PPE. Now, is that the mandated, where the schools have a mask mandate, or is that for all?
Actually, we're going to deliver those at Chief of Staff's direction to all the schools who request those.
All right.
And hopefully they have a mask mandate in place by now since they're able to. And we're just taking those requests. We've already heard from most of the schools. If you happen to reach out to some of the school administrators, please tell them to contact us if they for some reason didn't get our emails, and we'll get to them as soon as possible.
All right. Anything else? Well, Corey, we worked together in a few capacities, and man, you rise to the top every time. I can't say how proud I am of you
All right,
and the job that you
that.
do. So have a good day, good report.
Thank you.
Next up, Head Start, Verna Thompson. How are you, Verna?
I'm fine. Good afternoon. And welcome to the new tribal counselors. We look forward to working with you again in some cases. I'd be eager to answer any questions you might have beyond my report.
Any questions for Verna? All right.
How's this COVID improving your program?
You know, a month or 2 months ago, I could have told you that we were doing good, but every day it seems like in the last couple of weeks, I've sent Mr. Bunch a daily report, and I'm sad to say that we do have some cases, but fortunately not bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But, can I make?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
I wanted to share a couple of initiatives that we just recently started. One that is so neat. Last month, I reported to you about the perfect attendance with our staff. Now, you know, if you have coworkers that come to work every day, that makes your work easier. So we had 20 people in our program that had perfect attendance, no tardies, no absences. So we thought, well, what about the babies? They show up too. So we're giving perfect attendance to them as well. And I'm glad to report as of this date, and we're not through counting, there's been 10 babies that have had perfect attendance. That's awesome given the times that we're going through. And I want to say I was inspired by a niece and nephew of mine who went through grade school and high school with perfect attendance. Yeah, and they turned out to be really good workers too. One I'm very proud is a nurse at Hastings right now and does a very fine job. But I, like Diane, am recruiting staff and children, and if you have anybody in mind in any of your districts, we have lots of openings. That concludes my
All
report.
right, appreciate that. Anybody else before we let her go? Thank you, Verna.
Thank
Good
you.
report. All right, old business, none pending, new business, none pending. Any announcements? The next tentative scheduled for Tuesday, October 12th at 3 p.m. Need a motion to adjourn. All in favor? All opposed? All right, that'll conclude this meeting. Thank you.